record on the computer. Do I have the access to record on the computer?
I haven't made you the co-host. Let me make you the host.
Or anyone? Naren would record it, okay?
I've made you the co-host.
All right.
Okay. So, let's start.
Yeah.
Good evening, esteemed members of Toastmasters and our valued guests. I'm Aditya Dugar, taking on the role of Sergeant at Arms for today's online gathering. I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you as we convene for the speakers, trainers, and coaches Toastmaster Club meeting. Let's begin by establishing some essential guidelines to ensure a rewarding meeting experience for all. To minimize disruption, kindly switch off or silence your mobile phones. Please refrain from discussing sensitive topics like politics, sex, or religion. While not speaking, kindly keep your microphone muted, but I encourage everyone to have their cameras turned on, allowing us to see your wonderful faces. If you need to leave during the meeting, please turn off your video. Now let's talk about a collective mission. To achieve success, having a clear mission is imperative, and our club is no exception. Our club's mission is to provide a supportive and educational environment, empowering members to enhance their communication and leadership skills, ultimately leading to increased confidence and personal growth. We'd like to inform everyone that this meeting will be recorded and we may use the recording for promotional purposes, such as sharing it on social media platforms, including WhatsApp. By participating in this meeting, you consent to the use of your name, voice, and image in the recording. Rest assured, your privacy is of utmost importance to us, and we will solely utilize the recording for the purposes stated. If you have any concerns or questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Lastly, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude you for joining us today and becoming a part of our vibrant family. Your active participation is sincerely appreciated. Today, we have an educational session by Toastmaster Darshan teaching us about effective evaluation. Now, without taking much of your time, let me introduce you to the presiding officer for today's meeting. She is a corporate professional turned into a transformational mindset coach, trainer, mentor, author, podcaster, and YouTuber. Please welcome the VP Education of our club, Toastmaster Nupur. Over to you, Nupur.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Aditya, for such a beautiful, wonderful introduction. So, welcome everyone. I am Nupur Bartwal and I'll be playing two roles today. I'll be the presiding officer as well as the MC for this meeting. So, welcome everyone. And I see some guests here. So, if I see Nitesh. So, okay.
Yes.
Nitesh, if you could just unmute and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Toastmaster Mitesh. I've been a Toastmaster since August 22 and I'm part of Bombay Toastmasters.
Welcome, Mitesh.
Thank you.
Welcome to our club meeting. Any other guest? I just can't see much people. Anyway, please introduce yourself, whoever has joined for the first time. Nitin. Nitin, this is your first meeting at a club. Can you just unmute yourself and introduce?
Yeah, hi all. I'm Nitin Kumar Prusti and um, I'm part of TCS Maitri Bhubaneswar Toastmasters Club. So I
Welcome.
joined this session to know about more about evaluation, and also I have been inspired by this. So I have asked my club members to join as well. So thank you for organizing this session, and I hope it will be helpful to more and more members.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nitin. I see Abhishek Kumar. Abhishek, if you could just unmute yourself and introduce. Abhishek Kumar.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hello.
I am Abhishek Kumar from TCS Maitri Bhubaneswar Toastmasters Club. And as Nitin said, I was intrigued, I was fascinated about what is there to learn in evaluation because this time I have participated in evaluation contest. So
Great.
I'm looking forward to the session and I'm really grateful that you have organized this session.
Thank you. Thank you for joining the
Thank you.
session. Thank you. All right. So I am going to wear my MC hat and welcome all the Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. So I hope all of you are doing great and you all are in your best state. So theme for today's meeting, as Asa already mentioned, is speech evaluation, which is an education session. Now today's meeting will have two segments. First segment will be the education session, where our educationist will share the insights on how to evaluate a speech. And the second segment will be evaluation segment, where all our members who have registered under evaluation speech contest will get to evaluate the test speech and further get evaluated by our distinguished Toastmaster Darshan, who is the educationist or the keynote speaker for today's session. Now, why are we having this session? Yeah. Anyone can tell me why are we having this kind of session today? Anyone?
Because the contest is running close and we need guidance.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. Yes. We all are quite jittery because the contest is just close by, and we really need to learn how to evaluate a speech. So we got you the best in the industry, a subject expert, so that you can calm your nerves and listen and learn from all the insights which he has to share with you. So today's speaker is none other than our very own District 126 Club Road Director, distinguished Toastmaster Darshan Satpathy. The Darshan, at a very young age, has achieved a lot. He's a senior data scientist working with a consultancy firm with over 6 years. He has been awarded the DC Ambassador by Infosys for his contribution in the field of technology. He has also been awarded as the Innovator of the DC for his innovation in the field of machine learning. And beyond the horizons of entrepreneurship, data science, and training sessions, Darshan has been a winner of various contests. He's been a division runner-up in the International Speech Contest, Humorous Speech Contest, Table Topics Contest, and has been in the district for the Evaluation Contest. He has served the geography of Odisha, Bihar, and Jharkhand as a division director and bagged the Outstanding Division Director Award from the district. He's a postgraduate and a gold medalist from BITS Pilani, currently pursuing his PhD from NIT Rourkela. He has many published work in international journals. He has a passion in volunteering and leading teams. And hold on, the best
Nupur has frozen, right?
I think she has lost connection.
Yeah, I think she's lost the connection. I'll just give her a call. I'm not getting through Nupur.
I think she's back. She's again coming back. So
You're on board.
Sorry, there was power trip. Yeah. So I welcome, yes, I wanted to share the best, the most biggest achievement of Darshan. He was ranked number 2 among 1500 plus divisions worldwide. So I pass on the control and the stage to our speaker for today, distinguished Toastmaster Darshan. So over to you. And before he starts, I would request all the participants to please be interactive, please be attentive, and have all the questions in the chat box, or hold on till we start Q&A after his speech. So over to you, Darshan.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Nupur.
Thank you.
Fellow Toastmasters, before we get into our educational session on effective evaluations, I have a very simple question for each and everyone present over here. Now, can any one of you tell me, is there a difference in evaluations when it comes to contests and when it comes to regular meetings? I just need a yes or a no answer.
Yes, there is.
Okay. The second question that I have for you is, whenever we are in an evaluation contest, we all know there is a test speaker. Is there a particular objective that the test speaker has to achieve? Yes or no? Okay, I see some answers in the chat box. Okay, I see a few yes. Anyone who says no? No one?
Darshan, the question that you asked, to be honest, I don't know that. I mean, I am not able to guess the answers. I want to know. I'm curious whether there are any differences.
Okay.
So that is not it.
Okay, no problem. Now we need to understand there is a slightest of difference here. Whenever we talk about a test speaker who is giving a speech in evaluation contest, he or she has no given objective. He or she can deliver any speech that he or she wants. But when we are delivering a speech in our regular session, we have to ensure that we are meeting an objective. Until and unless we meet that objective, the project does not get completed. This is one point of difference that we need to keep in our mind. Again, I have the third question for each and everyone present over here. Whenever we are in an evaluation contest, a speech evaluation contest particularly, do you think you are evaluators or do you think you are judges for that particular contest? Again, binary response, evaluators or judges?
Evaluator.
Evaluators. Okay. Okay. Can any one of you unmute and tell me what is the basic difference between an evaluator and a judge as per you?
Evaluator evaluates the test speaker. Judges judge how the evaluators performed, and then decide the top three.
Okay. Any other response? Anyone?
Judge probably gives a verdict, and evaluator gives feedback, probably.
Okay. Quite good. Now, again, a slightest of difference here. Whenever we are in a speech evaluation contest, we are evaluators. We are not judges. And the ones who are marking us are the judges, especially the voting judges. The ones who are marking us, and based on that, we will get our ranks. Or maybe we will get our scores, whatever is due for that particular contest. That is what we need to understand. Now, very quickly, I'll share my screen and we'll get started on some nitty-gritties and some tips and tricks that we need to keep in our mind, specifically when we talk about evaluation contest. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. Can I get a thumbs up?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Now, if you see my screen, in the center of the screen, it is written elevate your evaluation, but there are hyphens in between. Then obviously there is some significance behind that word evaluation that we see on the screen. Now, if I break it down, the first character in the word evaluation is E. E stands for emotions. If I am an evaluator who is evaluating a particular speech, I need to ensure that I am able to connect emotionally to the speaker. If I don't have that emotional connect, then definitely I'll not be able to deliver justice on the evaluation that I'm going to deliver. That's why we have to ensure that we are emotionally connected to the speaker. That is very, very important. Second part that you see over here is VALU, which is nothing but value. If I'm an evaluator, I need to ensure that I am adding value. If I'm not adding value while evaluating a speech, then definitely the next time the speaker comes on the stage, he or she might not know what are the points he or she might need to work on. That's why it is very, very important to ensure that whenever I'm an evaluator for any given speaker, I need to ensure that I add value. When I say I add value, I need to ensure that my feedbacks are specific and constructive. Now, when I say it should be specific and constructive, we will get into that as we go throughout the session. But the point to understand here is we need to ensure that we are adding value so that the speaker is encouraged to be on the stage the next time. Next, A and T, which is nothing but at. Now, when I'm delivering an evaluation for any given speech, at that instance, I need to create an impression. At that instance, I need to make my mark. In order to do that, I need to ensure that I follow a specific technique, which is attractive, not only for the judges, but also for the audience. What do I mean by that? Now, generally, when we are evaluators, we generally think that I am giving a speech to the specific speaker. That is not the case. Whenever I'm evaluating, I need to ensure that that speech that I'm giving, that 2 to 3 minute speech, it is not only for the speaker, but for the entire audience. As it is for the entire audience, first, I need to ensure that I'm making a proper eye contact, not only with the speaker, but for each and everyone that is present at the audience. On top of that, I need to ensure that the technique that I'm following, it is a proper technique, because based on the technique in which you evaluate, you will create that mark. Now, what is that technique? We'll come to it. After that, we have I. I represents the evaluator. That is me in this case, for example. Now, when I say I, what is the meaning here? The meaning is, if I am giving an evaluation, if I am an evaluator for any given speaker, I need to ensure that whatever evaluation points I'm giving, I'm able to provide justice to the speech that the speaker has given. When I say justice, you would see I said justice word during emotions as well. Again, I'm repeating the word justice. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I need to ensure that whatever evaluation I'm giving, it is to the point, it is specific, it is constructive, Also, it is logical. So that logical or analytical ability will come from you or me in this case as the evaluator. I cannot randomly say, let's say you did not perform well in stage choreography or you did not perform well in voice modulation. These are vague points. I cannot state my points like this. If I'm stating any given points, doesn't matter if it is a commendation or a recommendation, it has to be specific and it has to be logical. If it is not logical, then that evaluation does not make sense. And at the end, you see on. Now, when I say on, I have a question for each and everyone present over here. If I am an evaluator, do I evaluate the speech or do I evaluate the speaker? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Speaker? How about the
Speech.
others?
Sorry, speech. Sorry, speech.
Speech.
I
Both.
think both.
Okay. Any other answer?
Both.
Both. Okay. Most of you are saying both, but that answer is incorrect. We never evaluate the speaker. We always evaluate the speech. Doesn't matter who is the speaker. We never evaluate that speaker. We always evaluate the speech because our focus should be on the content and the delivery that the speaker has to present. Based on that only, we need to ensure that our evaluation is centered. That's why when I say on means the focus should be on the speech, not on the speaker. That is the point that I need to keep in our minds.
Delivery will be, how he's delivering his body language. That will be on the speaker, right?
Okay.
So
Again,
I have a little doubt here.
okay, sure. I'll quickly cover that point as well. Now, when I look at a speaker, obviously, I would look at three things, not two things. I would look at three things. What are those three things? The three things are content, delivery, and language. These are the three things that I will focus on if I'm looking at any given speech. Now, when I focus on these three things, what do? First, I will look at the content, if it is structured, if it is specific, and if it is logical. Second, when we talk about delivery, the delivery is with respect to the speech. The delivery is always with respect to the speech. As the delivery is always with respect to the speech, again, we will evaluate the speaker based on the speech. Because only if the speech demands that delivery, let's say some facial gestures or maybe some characterization, only then it should be portrayed, else not. That's why that delivery that we are talking about, it is completely focused on the content that the speaker is trying to deliver. So we are not evaluating the speaker in general. We are evaluating the speech, and based on the speech that has been created, we are trying to connect the dots by looking at the delivery, if the delivery is required or not. It may so happen that at times you might see speakers who are overdoing things, but we should not be focused on those things. We should try to create a logical map or a mind map based on the content. Is this delivery required? Based on the content, whatever gestures or eye contact or voice modulation the speaker is using, is it required? It is completely focused on the content. Content is the king here. And at the end, as I said, the third parameter is the language. Again, language indicates multiple things. It might indicate fluency, it might indicate the grammar, or it might indicate the way the speech is delivered or in the language which is used in the speech. So again, that is related to the speech. Ultimately, we are evaluating the speech. Speech is at the center. On top of it, we have content, delivery, and language. That's why we cannot ever say that we are evaluating the speaker. We are always evaluating the speech. That is what we need to keep in our minds. Now, why did I say this point? I said this point because you would have listened to one speaker multiple times. And if you would have listened to one speaker multiple times, you might already know what the speaker does every time and where the speaker lacks. If you have that predefined thought in your mind, then it will be a problem for you when you do evaluations. That is why on that very day, we should always focus on the speech and we will see how the evaluator is evaluating. We should never take past performances into effect, which is also called as halo effect. We should ensure that we never relate to past performances for any given speaker. We should always be focused on the performance that is given on that very day. Okay, I hope I answered your question. I don't remember the name who asked me that, but I hope I answered
Yes,
your question.
it is answered.
Great. Let's quickly go on to the next slide. Now, these are some of the things that we will cover in this particular session, which is nothing but how to evaluate during the contest, during regular meetings, and by the ballot. Okay, let me quickly come on to the first thing. When it comes to effective evaluations, there are three things to be considered. What are those three things? First is you as the evaluator, if you are making logical points. Second, the speaker, whether the speaker is getting the required feedback that is justified. If you are able to make an impression on the speaker, if you are motivating the speaker to come onto the stage the very next time. And third, the audience. As I have been saying so far, evaluation is also a speech for 2 to 3 minutes. It may not be a prepared speech, but evaluation is still a speech. And if I'm talking about a speech, it has to be structured. And when I say that a speech has to be structured, it has to be structured with logical points and specific points. If that speech is not logical and specific, then it makes no sense again. And that's why I said, whenever I evaluate, I should not be focused only on the test speaker. Rather, I should be focused on each and everyone present in the audience. That's why, in order to ensure that I effectively deliver an evaluation, these are the three things that I have to keep in my mind. First is me, second is the speaker, and third is obviously the audience that is in front of me. Next, when we try to evaluate a particular speaker, we also need to know what are certain criteria that we need to focus on. I just told you, in every given speech, we are focused on three things: the content, the delivery, and the language. If these are the three things that we are focused on, then definitely whatever parameters we will try to pick up from the speech has to be picked up from these three categories: content, delivery, and language. Now, these are some of the criteria that we might focus on. I'm not saying these are the only criteria we should be focused on. These are the criteria we might focus on when it comes to evaluation. What are those criteria? First is the physical environment. Now that we are in a virtual setup, still then the environment matters. The way I'm speaking. Generally, if you would have attended contests before, whenever I'm delivering any kind of a speech, I should not use a virtual background because the background matters. Now I can use it is a normal session, or you can use it during regular club meetings. But in a contest, you will be notified by the contest chair stating that you cannot have virtual backgrounds. That's why the physical background, or maybe the virtual background in your case, is very, very important. So you need to ensure that you are having a steady background whenever you are trying to deliver an evaluation, specifically on the virtual stage. If it is physical, it would be the same for everyone. Second point is obviously body language. Body language matters a lot. When I speak about body language, there are multiple subcategories that are under body language. Like, for example, facial gestures, my hand gestures, my eye contact, how I'm trying to connect with the audience. All those things will come under body language. Specifically, if I talk about body language, this is a delivery parameter. The third parameter is, of course, the voice. Everyone knows we are Toastmasters, we are public speakers. The voice matters a lot. That's why we need to see if the tone that has been used or the tonality that has been used for that particular speech, was it appropriate? If there were characterizations within the speech, were proper voice modulations being used? If they were not used properly, then obviously the speech would seem monotonous. That's why we need to focus on the tone or the tonality. And the fourth one, which is very important, which is, of course, the speech content and structure. When I say speech content and structure, obviously I need to ensure that it is first structured properly. It should have a proper logical introduction, then a body, then a conclusion. But this is the general structure. What about the specific structure that we should look at? We should also look at the various transitions that are happening within a speech. I need to logically connect the dot. Let's say, for example, I am giving an icebreaker speech. If I give an icebreaker speech, I start from my college days, then I go to my school days, then I come back to my corporate days. It is not in the chronological order. It is not structured properly. That's why whenever we talk about a speech, we need to ensure that the transitions that are present in the speech, it is logical. If it is not, we can definitely point it out to the speaker while we are evaluating. That's why let's ensure that these are some of the parameters that we consider while evaluating a particular speaker. Okay. Next, what should be our focus points? Everyone would know by now that it is a speech, evaluation is a speech. If it is a speech, it has to have a particular structure. Now in Toastmasters, it is not mandatory. Let me tell you again, it is not mandatory, but it is recommended that you follow a particular style. And that style is called as CRC. Now, when I talk about CRC, my interpretation of CRC is commendation, recommendation, and conclusion. Few also tell it as commendation, recommendation, again commendation, but my interpretation is commendation, recommendation, and conclusion. These are the three things that has to be there in my evaluation. If this structure is not followed, then it is completely fine. As I said, it is just recommended. It is not mandatory. Now, if I don't follow this, what other structure can I follow? Let's say, for example, I want to follow a new structure. Let's say first I'll focus on the content. I'll tell all the good points. Then I'll come to not so good points. Then I'll focus on the delivery. I'll tell the good points, not so good points. Then I'll focus on the language, good points, not so good points, then conclude. This can also be a structure, no problem. It is not mandatory that it has to be CRC. Similarly, if I want to follow a different structure, when I say a different structure, let's say, for example, first I will tell the speaker about the good points that he had in his speech. Then when I come to the recommendation part, again, I'll split it. When I split it, again, it can be split into content, delivery, and language. And after that, you can summarize the evaluation. Now, I'm just saying these are different structures that you might follow, but the recommended structure as per Toastmasters International is CRC. So if you're comfortable following the commendation, recommendation, and conclusion structure, you might as well follow that. It is completely upon you as the evaluator. Now, if you see my screen, there are 3 focus points here that we should be focused on. What are those 3 focus points? Those 3 focus points are objectives, recommendations, and commendations. When I say objectives, in a regular session, if I'm evaluating any particular speaker, then in that case, I need to understand the objective of that speech very, very clearly. I need to have a clarity on the objective of the speech. After I have my perspective of the objective, I should also once confirm with the speaker before going to the stage and evaluating the speaker. I should also check with the speaker if this is what is expected based on the purpose statement. Because for one purpose statement, there can be multiple perceptions. The speaker might have a different perception. The evaluator can have a different perception. That is why if you are trying to evaluate any given speaker in your regular session, you need to ensure that first, as an evaluator, you are talking to that person. Try to understand what is his or her idea. Based on that, you try to deliver the evaluation. That's why you need to understand, clarify, and have the final confirmation before you are on the stage. There should not be any mismatch in expectations. Next is recommendation. When I talk about recommendation, it is nothing but not so good points. I will never say bad points, but it is not so good points. When I say not so good points, what are the things I should be focused on? I need to ensure that it is positive always. When I say it is positive, I need to focus on 3 things: where, when, and how. These are common questions that everyone would have come across in your life. I need to focus on the where, when, and how for every recommendation that I specify. Now, how can I do that? Let's say, for example, a speaker delivered a speech. Now, I saw that at one particular transition, the speaker did not do the stage choreography properly. Let's say there are 3 transitions. I was expecting the speaker to go to, let's say, the left-hand side of the stage for transition 1, middle part of the stage for transition 2, and right-hand side of the stage for transition 3. Let's say there are 3 transitions. This is the logical interpretation if there are 3 transitions. If there are 3 transitions and the speaker is standing right there in the center of the stage and just delivering the speech on the go, then obviously it doesn't justify the title of the speech or doesn't justify the structure of the speech. In that case, I will be very specific and I will tell the speaker that during this time, this thing could have been worked upon. That's why I need to focus on where, when, and how. Similarly, I cannot tell a particular speaker that your voice modulation wasn't great. If I try to recommend a speaker on voice modulation, I need to pick up that specific instance from the speech where, let's say, for example, there were 2 characters in a speaker's speech. I need to justify if there are 2 characters, how the characterization would have been done and how it would have been easier for the audience to understand if there were 2 different voices. So here voice modulation plays an important role. So I need to ensure that I need to be specific. I will specify the instance, and based on that, I will say how that particular scene could have been enacted using voice modulation. So I need to be very, very specific there. Similarly, if I speak about eye contact, for example, eye contact can also be one of the parameters. I cannot just randomly say that you did not have eye contact with the audience in phases. This is not a recommendation. So if I'm focusing on eye contact, I need to specifically say during which instance of the speech the speaker did not have an eye contact. I need to be specific there as well. For each and every parameter that I pick up, doesn't matter in recommendation or commendation, I need to ensure that it is specific. If it is not specific, it would not make sense to the speaker that is in front of me. And the third point that is over here is commendations. When I talk about commendations, as I said, in Toastmasters, we believe our best is always our next. That's why we need to ensure that we are motivating the speaker by giving proper recommendations and proper commendations so that the speaker is motivated to be on the stage the next time. If I become critical and I just try to bash the speaker, that doesn't leave a good impression on the speaker. The speaker will not be motivated to come on the stage the next time. That's why, as an evaluator, we always need to ensure that we are very, very careful with our words. The words we choose creates an impression or leaves an impression in the mind of the speaker. We need to ensure that we are motivating and encouraging. Only when we are motivating and encouraging, the speaker will be motivated to come onto the stage the next time. That's why these three should be our focus point: the objective, the recommendation, and the commendation. Very quickly, I'll come on to the 4 things that are present in the ballot. When I deliver an evaluation, these are the 4 things based on which I get judged by different voting judges. What are those things? First is analytical ability. This point I had focused from the very beginning. I have been saying whatever evaluation we will deliver, it has to be logical. Now, those logical points is completely unique to you. Whatever logical points I feel, it might so happen that the other evaluator does not have those logical points. For him or her, it might be different. So it depends, how am I able to pick up points from the speech? How am I able to analyze the speech? Because based on that analysis, you are going to deliver a speech. That's why your analytical ability is 40% of the ballot. Out of 100%, analytical ability is 40%. That's why your analysis is very, very critical when you become an evaluator for any given speaker. The second point is the technique. And when I talk about technique, I have been repeating this point. We have to be motivating. On top of that, it is always better if we are sympathetic and sensitive. If we are not sympathetic and sensitive to the speaker, then obviously we will not leave a good impression on the speaker. And for technique, I have 15%. Now, when I say technique depends. As I said, you may follow CRC, you may not follow CRC, but it has to have a proper technique. What is the technique that you are following based on which you are evaluating the speaker? Third is recommendation. We talked about this point. When you talk about recommendation, we need to focus on 3 things. It should be positive, it should be specific, and it helps the speaker understand where he or she went wrong. And the 4th point that we should be focusing on is the summary. And when I talk about summary, it has to be concise and encouraging. Like, for example, if I want to give a summary, I can say the speaker overall had a good stage presence. It had an engaging content. But if the speaker could work upon his voice modulation, his stage choreography, and his body language, then the speech would have left a better impression on the speaker. I'm just giving a random example. So when I'm saying the summary, it has to be concise within 2 to 3 lines. It should not be lengthy. It should be 2 to 3 lines. And it should be just the summary of the commendations and the recommendations that you just gave to the speaker. So ensure that whenever you are giving the summary, you are concising it to 2 to 3 lines. But always remember, every evaluation should end with a summary. If we are not ending it with a summary, then obviously your marks would be deducted from the ballot, because this summary again contains some percentage, which is 15%. Now, whenever I talk about an evaluation speech, again, as I said, I have to be very, very careful with my words. Now, what are the things I should be careful about? First is the feedback. When I talk about feedback, it has to be immediate, specific, and positive. Now, when I talk about feedback particularly, you would have seen evaluation contest. If you would have not seen yet, what generally happens is there is a test speaker who delivers the speech. Then you get 5 minutes of time to write down your notes if you want to write down any note. After that, you are called upon the stage based on your contestant's order. Now, it is generally recommended that you refer to that paper or the note that you made, but you don't read out. If you read out everything, whatever you have written from that note, then definitely you will lose track of your structure or the points that you would have decided. Because if you just read whatever you have written, it would not be that engaging and you might miss out on some points that you would have thought of delivering. But if you just read it out, it would be difficult for you to cover everything or the points that you would have thought of. That is why while making notes, again, ensure that it is concise and focused. Let's say, for example, body language, just write down that instance and how it can be improved. Voice modulation, just write down that instance, how it can be improved. Eye contact, write down that instance, how it can be improved. It has to be concise. And this will just act as a reference. You should not read out anything from that particular paper that you have in front of you. Okay. Second point is, what are the things we should avoid? These are some of the words we should avoid because these are completely negative words. I should never say you did not, you weren't, and don't. These are negative words. If I need to ensure that I try to create an impression on the speaker, then I need to ensure that I avoid all these negative words. I should not be using all these negative words. But if I want to do proper commendations or I want to give specific commendations, then definitely I can take help of words like this. Like, for example, I felt, I connected, my reaction was, or my impression was. These are some of the things, some of the words rather, that you can use in your speech to connect with the speaker. Now, we all understand whenever a speaker is delivering a speech, he or she might also have a personal story. And that's why at the very beginning, I told you it is always about the emotional connect. If you don't have that emotional connect with the speaker, you will not be able to do justice. That is why always when you are doing an evaluation, always try to create a pictorial representation in front of the audience. The audience should be able to visualize. These are the points of commendation. These are the points of recommendation. And this is the final summary. If you are unable to paint that canvas, or if you are unable to picture that particular speech in the minds of the audience, then definitely you are coming short somewhere. And this will only happen with practice. Now, the point is, someone can ask me what can be the general structure of a evaluation contest, or maybe how many commendations should I give? How many recommendations should I give? Now, the point is, always ensure that while you are giving your evaluation, it is a balanced speech. When I say it is a balanced speech, what do I mean? I mean, when I talk about commendation, if I am having 3 commendations, I need to ensure that I have 3 recommendations. If I'm having 4 commendations, I can have 4 recommendations. But it is recommended to have 3 commendations and 3 recommendations. You only have 3 minutes. You don't have 5 minutes. As you only have 3 minutes, you need to be very, very careful with the wordplay that you are doing. And you should also be careful about the content that you are trying to portray or put across to the audience. If it is 3 minutes overall, you need to ensure that your commendation is limited to 1 minute 15 seconds to 1 minute 25 seconds. That is how you need to practice as a contestant. The next 1 minute 15 seconds to 1 minute 30 seconds.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you need more time?
No, I'll be winding up.
Okay.
I'll be winding up. Give me 2 minutes. Now, as I was speaking about a balanced structure, as I said, I need to practice based on the timings. Let's say, for example, commendations, I need to ensure that for the first 1 minute 15 seconds to 1 minute 25 seconds, I'm focusing on the commendation. If I'm using the CRC approach, next 1 minute 15 seconds to 1 minute 30 seconds, I'm focusing on the recommendation. And after that, I'm trying to conclude my speech by giving 2 or 3 precise points about the overall speech. So I need to practice based on those timelines. So if it is 3 minutes, you need to divide it into 3 segments. First segment, let's say, is commendation. What is the amount of time you are taking? Next would be recommendation. What is the amount of time you are taking? And next, it would be conclusion. Always practice your speech in a manner that you are able to complete it before the red flag comes up. Because there will be times in your speech wherein whatever you would have thought of, on top of it, there would be many more things that you will speak and deliver while you are giving that evaluation. So always ensure that you try to restrict your content to 3 minutes. If you're able to restrict your content to 3 minutes, it will be always easier for you to put across whatever you have planned. Because as I said, structure is important. Based on the structure, do your mind map. And based on the mind map, just think what are the points that needs to be put out. 3 points or 4 points or 2 points, that is completely up to you. But as I said, it is always recommended to have 3 commendations and 3 recommendations. If you are doing 3 recommendations and 2 recommendations, 3 commendations and 2 recommendations, you can, no problem, but it will not be a balanced speech. So ensure that the total number of commendations and total number of recommendations is always balanced. Okay, that is the thought that I will leave you to. Next, if there are any questions anyone would like to ask, then you can ask me, because we have a mock contest that will be starting now. But before that, if anyone wishes to ask any question, you can ask me.
I have 2 questions. One is, sometimes you have speakers who have, who are like flawless, and you can't find any, commendations there. What do you do then? And sometimes you have speakers who have so many things to improve upon and very little to talk good about. So how do you handle these 2 extremes?
Okay, that's a great question. Now, let me tell you, if you are an evaluator for any given speaker, never say that I had no recommendations for you, or never say that I have no commendations for you. These extreme statements should not be made in any given evaluation. It may so happen that the speaker was pretty good, but still then there would definitely be points that you can pick up. Like, for example, let's say a world champion. Most of you might have watched the 2023 World Champion of Public Speaking. I don't know if you have. If you would have watched, I was there witnessing the World Champion of Public Speaking live in Bahamas when the contest was happening. And I was doing my own notes. I was trying to write down my commendations, my recommendations. I was doing that. And when I did that, I got multiple points on commendations, multiple points on recommendations. Now, the point is, what is your analysis? If you are just completely flowing with the speech, then you will not be able to get to a point. You have to be calm. You have to listen. You have to pick up points based on the categories that are defined. It may so happen that the speaker did everything great, but there might have been a logical flow in the content. There might have been a logical flow in the stage choreography. There might have been a logical flow in the voice modulation. You have to be careful. As I said, you have to be careful with your analysis when the speaker is trying to deliver that particular instance or those transitions particularly. Because as and when transitions comes up in a speech, it demands voice modulation and stage choreography. Now it is up to you if you're able to identify that. If you're not able to identify that, then you will definitely miss out on that and you will feel it was a great speech. So that's why first be very, very clear on the points that you pick up. After that, try to make it logical. If you're able to do that, then definitely you will have points both for commendation and recommendation. So my only thought for you at this point, not only for the one who is asking the question, but for everyone present over here, try to ensure that the overall speech that the speaker gives, it is logical and it is to the point. If it is not logical and to the point, then definitely you will find multiple parameters that can be picked up, and based on that, he or she can be evaluated. Okay. If needed, during some other time, if we want to discuss, I can discuss about the speech that I evaluated for the world champion. That is a story for later. But definitely, we have commendations and recommendations for every speech. No speech is a perfect speech. Let's just remember that.
We would love to see at least for one of the speeches, one of the finale speeches, and your recommendations and recommendations. That would help us a lot.
Sure, we can definitely plan that.
Another question was, I am not remembering now. Can you can you reverse the slides and, quickly and just check? It was an important question.
You can tell me which slide I stop.
Something you said which was like, which I didn't understand at all. It was like,
which slide?
Anybody else can ask the question. Let me try to remember where it was.
Okay, no problem. If
Not
anyone
remembering.
else,
Anybody else can ask the question. I'll try to figure out.
sure. Yes. Any other question anyone has?
Aditya, Kyra, anyone?
What are the many styles of giving feedback or the techniques besides the CRC?
Okay. Now, as I said, there can be multiple techniques that I can follow. One is definitely CRC that is recommended. Other than CRC, as I said, I can follow a style wherein I can pick up content first, speak on the recommendations, then commendations, then pick on the delivery, speak on commendation, recommendation, then speak on the language, commendation, recommendation, and at the end, I conclude. This can be one structure. Similarly, if I try to be innovative, I can bring out an analogy. So when I say I bring out an analogy, based on that analogy, I will try to place my points. Let's say, for example, I compare a speech to a flowing river. There can be multiple components of a flowing river. And based on those components, I can very well relate, or I can very well put my points. So you can put an analogy in your evaluation as well. On top of it, there are multiple other techniques. Let's say, for example, I want to bring up something different other than obviously what we have discussed about. So if I want to bring up something different, what can I do? For every parameter that I pick, let's say I'm picking voice modulation. It may so happen that at instances, the speaker was good in some points and it was not so good in some points. Maybe for one parameter, there can be commendation, recommendation. I can go to the next parameter, there can be commendation, recommendation. Similarly, I can focus on the parameters. I can go for commendation, recommendation, commendation, recommendation, and I can conclude. This can also be one structure. So it is completely based on our analysis on and our thought, what should be the structure, and based on that, I can do my evaluation.
Do you have a list of these CRC and other techniques which you can provide us in the chat or by email?
Sure. What I'll do is I'll be sharing that. I don't have it handy here, but I can definitely share that with the president or the VP of the club, and she may share it with you.
Thank
Can
you.
you also get the slides?
Sure.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Nirmit?
Yeah, I remembered. You
Great.
said clarify and confirm with the speakers. Now, how do we do that? Like we listen to the speech, we evaluate, and then we hardly get 5 minutes to evaluate, and then we are called for our presentation. So where is this part coming? I have to check with the speaker.
Okay. Now this takes me to one of the 3 questions that I asked at the very beginning. And while telling this point also, I focused on a specific point, which is when I talk about objective, it is objective when a speaker is speaking in a regular session. If it is a speech contest, there is no given objective. During a speech contest, you are not worried about the objective. But if it is a regular session, you should first understand what is the purpose statement or what is the objective. Try to clarify it with the speaker. And based on that, you do the evaluation for that very speech. So this objective, when I talk about, it is specifically for speeches which are delivered in regular sessions, not for contest. For contest, the speaker can pick up any given topic, any random topic, and based on that, he or she can deliver. There is no given objective in a contest speech. That is the point that I need to keep in my mind.
Thank you.
Any other question anyone wishes to ask?
Any questions?
Just one question, Darshan.
Sure.
So while giving evaluation in evaluation contest, how do we address the speaker? Do we tell them you should work on this, or you should improve your tone or voice modulation, or we refer to them in third person that the speaker should work on their voice modulation? What should be the right approach?
Okay. Again, there is no given rule for this particular thing or this particular take that you're asking, but it is always better if I refer to the speaker directly, because obviously the audience knows there is only one test speaker who has delivered the speech. So if there is only one test speaker who has delivered the speech, it is always better if I directly refer to that very person. And based on that, I can structure my evaluation. It is not required to go the third party route, because it is always better. There is a single speaker, we directly refer that person and give the evaluation. And as I said, if I'm referring that person, I have to be careful with my words. That's why I have been focusing on that point. So I will definitely refer the speaker, but I have to be careful with my words. That is the only thing I need to take care.
That helps question. Thank you.
As a follow-up question to that, can we say that, because you said you have to look at the audience also. So you can be like, say ki this is, it can be better done in this way. And this is for everybody. Whenever you're doing this, you can, express it like this. Something like that we have to do. Because we
No.
have to look at audience also. If I'm doing in second person, if I'm just talking to him, I'll have to look at him. So how will I look at the audience? Only when I'm referring to audience, like, okay, this is for everybody.
Okay, very good point. Now, one thing that we need to understand is if I'm giving any feedbacks, it is for a speaker. Now, if I'm giving feedback for a speaker, it is always recommended that I refer the speaker. But as I said, evaluation is a speech. Everyone knows who is the speaker. If I maintain that eye connect with the rest of the audience as well, it does not take away anything from the speaker. Ultimately, the evaluation that I'm doing, it is specifically for the speech that has been delivered by the speaker. So in between my evaluation, I would never say this is a point that everyone can take care of in future, or this is a point for everyone. I should not be using those statements. I should only be focused on the speaker. And always, if you would have seen during contests that happens, speaker, the one who delivers, is always on the center, and the audience are spread out. That is generally the sitting arrangement that is there. In case of physical contest, I'm talking about. In virtual, it is different, but in physical contest, that is how it is. That's why always
Virtual, it's easy. You just have to look at the camera.
Correct. So if it is physical, always the focus is towards the front to the speaker, and based on that, you vary your eye contact based on the need. But the major focus would be on the speaker. That is the point that I have to keep in my mind.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Any more questions?
Darshan, hi,
you-
Shama here. This is a very silly question that I am putting forth, but I feel it pertinent. The question is like, on one side, when you said about evaluation, therein you said the content should be evaluated, the way of delivery should be evaluated, and certain other things. But the speaker overall should not be put into concern. I mean, when I talk about his personality and such things, then why is it important for the speaker to make an eye contact, and why is it more important to judge on those parameters? Does it really make a difference? Of course, there would be a connect with the audience, but apart from that, when it comes to evaluation, if it is only the content which is mattering, then what about it?
Okay. First of all, when we are talking about evaluation, we are trying to ensure that we are giving something to the speaker that the speaker can work upon. Because first of all, we need to understand we are all are public speakers. If we all are public speakers, we should know as a speaker what are the things we need to work on, what are the things we have already bettered, and what are some of the focus areas for us. As an evaluator, your job is just to highlight those points. As he or she is a public speaker, that person needs to know these are the things I did well, these are the things I have to work on, and based on that, I will plan my future speeches. That is why it is not important that I only focus on the content, but I focus on three things, because ultimately I need to make a difference. So those three things, as I pointed out during my session, has to be content, delivery, and the language. If I don't focus on these three aspects, then definitely somewhere the speaker is not getting the justified evaluation that he or she might be expecting. And audience connect is obviously important when I'm doing an evaluation or when I'm giving an evaluation speech, because the audience also is learning what is the message or what is their takeaway as well. Always, this is one suggestion that I would like to give to everyone. If you are not a participant in any of the evaluation speech contests that happens, if you are an audience, always try to evaluate the speaker as an audience. Just write down what do you feel are some of the commendations, what you feel were some of the recommendations. And when the evaluators go onto the stage and start delivering their evaluation, you check whether your points, whatever you have given, those are justified or not. What are the people thinking about that particular speech? What is their perspective? Is it matching with your perspective? If not, what are the things that went wrong? Because here it ultimately boils down to the analysis that you did for the speech. So that's why whenever here in regular meetings also, I understand there might be a speech evaluator and there will be one speaker. But you as the audience, you should always make down your points, note down your points, and try to compare it with the evaluator, the speech evaluator, and see if you both are in sync. It may so happen that out of 3 points, at least 1 point is in sync. But if it happens that that particular evaluator tells voice modulation was great and with some example, but in your case, you have written voice modulation with some instance which was not good. So you should be able to justify it with your analysis that why it was not good. It should not be contradictory. It may not so happen that 19 people think that voice modulation was good and only you are thinking that voice modulation was not good. That's why I said focus on the specific instance. In a given speech, it might so happen that voice modulation would have been good in some instances, and he or she might need to work upon voice modulation in some other instance. That's why I said for a given parameter, there can be a recommendation as well as a commendation. So that's why just as a practice or as an exercise, whenever you are sitting in your club meetings or attending any other contest, just try to note down, just put on the hat of an evaluator and try to note down the points, commendation, recommendation, and obviously the final summary.
Right. Thank you.
I have one more question. Like, does it matter? See, what you have told is in the ballot has an analytical ability, technique, recommendation, and summation.
Correct.
Okay. So does
Correct.
it matter if we use a very flowery language or very some creative way of introducing or something? So I mean, there's no point for this. It's just like it gives a feel good factor to the judges and just catches your attention. But if they go on to mark you on the ballot, they won't be able to mark you there, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I mean, we need not spend time over there. Is that so?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. You need not spend time on good languages. Rather, you should spend time on the analysis that you do for a given speech, because that analysis is important. Like, for example, I said I can derive an analogy, and based on that analogy, I fit my evaluation. If I'm able to do that, that is my analytical ability, not the language. Always remember, if I'm talking about an evaluation, it is a speech, of course, but even if you are not fluent as an evaluator, in each of these parameters that you see on the screen, you will never be deducted any marks here. Evaluation can be fluent, it may not be fluent, but no marks will be deducted here. That means indirectly, I'm saying for language as an evaluator, there is no points of deduction. So that is one thing you should be focused on. Similarly, if for language there is no points of deduction, obviously there is no point of addition also. You will not get any extra point if you take up good languages. That is the only thing.
All
Another
right.
thing I have, one more thing I have seen in some of the clubs, they are using PPT to give, evaluation.
Okay.
So is it a good thing or, should we just speak it out? That means they keep their PPT ready and they just put things there over there. And then based on that PPT, they go about.
Understood. So if I'm using a PPT, then definitely I am thinking from before. These are the certain things that are there. I will just put the points. If I'm doing that, then again, it is not a good sign as far as evaluation is concerned, because I'm focusing on a specific template. If I'm just focused on that template, I may not add value to the speaker. That's why if I'm an evaluator specifically in contest, every time I need to ensure that it is instantaneous. It has to come from the speech that I just listened to. If I just try to fit in points, I may not be able to add value, or rather I would say it would not make justice for that particular speaker who has delivered the speech. That's why never go for predefined templates, never go for fixed points in your mind. Just focus on the speech and based on that, make your notes. That is one thing that we should be focused on.
I completely agree with you, but I hope all judges also They follow the same thing.
Yes, judges will follow the same thing because
Okay.
I have been there multiple times. And let me tell you, whenever, if I am the judge specifically, I would always focus on these four things. I would just see if the analysis is correct or not. If you are coming short on analysis, let's say you said voice modulation was great, but I observed the speech, there were multiple flaws in voice modulation, then definitely I'll be deducting marks there. So I will check out on the analysis of the evaluator who he or she is evaluating. That is very, very important. On top of the analysis, I would check the technique and I would check the recommendation if it is specific or not. So those are the points as a judge I would be focused on, not if you are using a PPT or you are taking predefined points, all those things.
All right. Thank you so much for this such an insightful session, Darshan. And we would like to present. Do I have screen share?
Yeah, you can share your screen if you want.
All right. Thank you so much. Zoom Master, do I have the? Can I share the screen? All right. Is it visible? So a small token from us. Is it visible?
Yes.
Thank
you.
Thank you so much. And now, moving forward, let me introduce our role players for today's meeting, starting with a Zoom Master, who's a club vice president membership, Naren Yadav, an experienced life transformation coach, growth strategist, author, speaker, and change maker. A timer for today and also a backup Zoom master is none other than Toastmaster Mario, who's a member of two clubs, one in Slovenia and another in California. He's an extremely helpful person and has assisted many clubs in times of need, like he's helping us today by taking up the timer role. And the evaluators for today's meeting are our test speaker's speech today. They are our ESC participants, Toastmaster Aditya Dugar, Toastmaster Kyra, and Toastmaster Nirmit. Now, without wasting any more time, let me welcome my test speaker for today, Toastmaster Varun, who very graciously took up this role at the last minute. Varun likes to be introduced as a humble human being who's not afraid or embarrassed to ask the question why. And his speech title is ¿Por qué no? It's a Spanish word that means why not? Over to you, Toastmaster Varun.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Nupur. Before I start my speech, or even the timer starts the timing, after such a beautiful educational session by Darshan, DTM Darshan, one thing which I want to ask all the contestants is to not talk about the lighting and the camera angle. These two things I have heard these many times. I don't even remember it. So try to avoid those two. Why? ¿Por qué? Why not? 2014, when I was sitting at the house, was around 8:45 p.m. in the evening. My mom called me. She was at hospital with my dad, who was going dialysis. She sounded upset. And with that call, I realized the time has come. My father passed away in 2014, July 18. At that point, I was in 12th. I had just completed my 12th and I didn't have any idea where I was going next. Luckily, my brother took up a challenge. He said, Varun, what are you going to do? I have no clue. You only have to tell me what I'm going to do. Do you like maths? Yes, I do like maths. Do you like physics? No, I absolutely hate physics. Do you like chemistry? No, no chemistry. Then he did something magical. He searched the entire internet, and luckily he found a course for me in Hyderabad, which focused neither on maths nor physics or chemistry. It focused on a beautiful topic called digital techniques for designing and planning. Well, who knew these four words would exist or make a new course? Apparently, this course was established in 2014 or 1 year before that, just before I was about to join. It was such a beautiful course. And after joining, after 1 year, I decided I don't want to do this stuff anymore. I was more interested in cooking. I was cooking daily at my place, I was cooking beautiful food, and my inspiration, my mom, she pushed me to cook more every single day. Why? Why not? Because she was lazy and she was getting free food every single day. Then the most beautiful thing happened. My brother put up one more challenge. He was like, "You have started the course already. Are you going to complete it? Would you like to complete it, or would you like to just take a drop?" I took up the challenge and I said, "¿Por qué no? Why not? Let me complete this challenge." 4 years, I studied a course which I had no interest in, completed it, and then guess what I did? Immediately after I completed the course, I wrote an MSET exam or a JEE exam for hotel management, and I got 161th rank throughout India. With that rank, I grabbed a seat in Hyderabad for Institute of Hotel Management. It's again a government college. I went there for 2 months without telling my parents. This beard, this shabby looking beard which you see right now, it was not there. I was like Aditya every single day for 2 months. My mom got suspicious. "Son, you have never shaved your beard in the last 4 years. Why this sudden change?" I was like, "Mom, no issues, just like that. ¿Por qué no? Why not?" And then I had to spill the beans. Luckily, they supported me through it. They told me, "If you study well, you have got good ranks, and if you are not going to drop out from that course, why not? Go for it." 3 years passed by, then COVID happened in between, and I was again left clueless on what should I do, where should I go next. I wanted to continue my cooking journey. I wanted to learn more and more in the cooking field. I knew about the basics, the roastings, the sauteing, everything about cooking, the basics. But there was something in me which wanted more. Why? Why not? There is no point, there is no harm in learning more. That small little bug took me to my next journey. In 2021, August, I searched for a college called Culinary Institute of Barcelona. It is in Spain, Europe. This particular college was nowhere to be found around the world. Why? Because it challenged creativity. The very first thing which they asked me was a 15 big questionnaire. You know what was the question in it? It was only talking about where do you see yourself 10 years down the line? What is your psychometric test result? And stuff like that, which I could never answer. I made my brother sit. I was like, "You go the answers, whatever you want. I want to go there. That's it." He's like, "Why? Why do you want to go there if you don't know the answers?" Why not? Because I like the course. I like what they are teaching and what they are doing, especially how they are challenging creativity. Then in 2022, when I first joined this college, can you see the wall behind me with colorful sticky notes there? That is something which they ingrained in me right here every single day for 2 years. Can you believe that? No, not putting sticky notes on the walls. They did something called mind maps. Every single day in the morning, they would give me a small word in the center. For example, egg. A simple small word, egg. What could you do with it? Boil it, roast it, pit fire it, bake it in the oven, make a souffle. So many things you can do with an egg. Luckily, that thing has helped me so much in every aspect of life. And why was I learning it? Why not? Because learning is fun. After my stint in Culinary Institute of Barcelona, today I am here in Stockholm, Sweden, where I am learning how to cook with just open fire. Why? Why not? Because it is interesting, it is fun. So, my dear fellow Toastmasters, if life is going to throw lemons at you, don't just make a lemonade, catch it and think about what all can you do with it. Don't just use it for a tequila or a lemonade or something else. Why? Because why not? You can do it. Over to you, Nupur. Nupur, you're on mute.
Okay.
Would you need to unmute yourself?
Yes, I am now. I think I'm audible. Thank you so much, Varun, for this beautiful speech. And now I would request all the evaluators, you get 5 minutes to write your evaluation, and timer, please record the time.
All right, 5 minutes is up. Now we will, Aditya, you're the host. Can you put the evaluators in the breakout rooms? I have created, but I cannot put you as the host. Can you put them in the breakout rooms and then call upon each evaluator individually, please?
I have made you the co-host. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Mario, am I audible to you?
Yes, you're one of the evaluators. So put yourself and the other two evaluators in a breakout room, and then you'll be called upon in this order I provided you in the chat.
Can you do it for us? Can I make you the host?
Put you in the breakout room. You're the host.
Mario, I'll make you the host. You do it to us because I'm not aware of how to do it. I'll make you the host.
All right, cool. Let's start. Oh, boy.
Have we made the breakout rooms?
I made a mistake. Yeah, it happens.
That's okay. Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Apologies.
No.
Was I meant to be here? Or
No, people will.
I saw a lot of people in one room. Yeah.
I did not set up the rooms properly, and I couldn't add you as host, and that's why. No worries, it will close in 10 seconds, and then I'll recreate those. Apologies. Right.
Are we all back?
Apologies.
No worries.
We haven't lost anybody on the way, Nupur. We're right.
This is a good testing ground. So apologies for that. All right, so Nupur, will you be making sure they're not using their notes? Will you be the sergeant at arms? Nupur, can you be the sergeant at arms for the?
Yeah, the sergeant at arms will be needed at the end of the meeting. So that's not in. All right.
Damn it.
Are we putting all three of them in one room? Yeah.
Yeah, but I already closed them, so yeah. It takes time. Apologies, everyone.
That's okay.
Meanwhile, Rajniji, you need to submit that video. 1 minute one. That is you.
No, Nupur, somebody has to make sure they're not using their notes while they're called on stage. That's why I need a sergeant at arms. Will you do that? Will you do the job? They need to show their hands in front of the camera and not use their notes. Understand?
Okay.
Okay.
Mario, we can skip that step for now because it's not an official contest. It's just a practice session.
Okay. Somebody still needs to call them in order if they're evaluating. That's why.
Yeah, I can call them in order. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So when I call them, how are they supposed to join? Okay. So everyone is back. So nobody is in the room now, right?
Yeah, I will re-add them. Apologies.
Okay,
people.
great. So we can move forward. Yeah.
No, wait.
All right.
Two people have to be in the room, right? Breakout room when.
Okay. Now they're running. Okay, now I will all three are in the breakout rooms. I will go in the breakout room and call upon the first one.
You're going to call them? Mario?
Or your video is also needed. Please take out 1 minute of yours.
What?
1 minute.
Now, can we talk sometime else? This is more
Yes, we
important
can.
right now. Yeah.
There's no one.
Yeah. No,
Just
everybody is there on the call. Yeah. So Mario, who's going to call them now?
Nupur, Mario is in the breakout room, so I believe he'll be sending someone
Okay.
soon.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Because I'm also just trying to figure out how it works.
By the way, when is the contest?
30th. We still have 10 days. Yeah.
I see.
That's
So
why we have
Kyra
this.
is here.
Okay, Kyra is here. Okay. So Kyra, you can present your evaluation report.
So from the get-go, the first line that Varun said about about his experience about his father, it connected with me because I have also, experienced something like that, which was very difficult to deal with. But how he has overcome that through his, mindset of why not was incredible, and that also is something that is very inspiring. Now, with regard to his speech, things which I really liked was when he was speaking, he looked around at his brother and he spoke to him instead of just looking at the screen when he was speaking. That was something that I really liked. Another thing he did was he connected with the audience member, Aditya, who he told him that, I didn't have a beard like Aditya, which is again something that probably made Aditya smile or react to that, and also got the other audience members connected. Besides that, he used his space very well. He moved from left to right to the front of the screen, as well as he turned around and showed his post-it notes behind to show his. So these were some really good points, Varun. And I feel your objective was and your title was constantly met from beginning to end when you said why not. However, every speech has something which can be improved on. So what I feel that could be improved on was your voice modulation. So when you said the word beautiful cause, maybe you could have added a little beautiful cause, a little softer tone, or a little bit. It sounded like you were just speaking in one. If the voice modulation was a little bit could have been improved. Also, when you were talking to your brother, maybe there could have been a change in voice. Both voices sounded very similar. Maybe that's how it is in real life, but it was very similar. And when you said you got the rank, you could have shown more excitement in your voice. So overall, I feel your speech was amazing. But the thing which could be improved on was the voice modulation, and that would have made your speech even better than it was. To summarize, your body language, connection to audience, and usage of space and room was very good. The points of improvement was voice modulation and vocal variety, which could have taken your speech to a whole new level. Overall, though, everything else was very good, very well thought of, and very well implemented. Thank you. And I wish you all the best for your next speech. Thank you. You guys, you can take me off.
We don't have judges, I assume, but this is what the judges are. 1 minute is up.
You have to unmute yourself, Nirmit.
Yeah. Timer, can we go ahead with the second evaluator?
Yeah.
Okay. So Nirmit, can you just
I
present your
can't see
report?
the cards, timer cards. Can you just show me? Okay, yes, I can see now. Can you just change and show it to me? The timer cards. Okay, I can see that. Great. Let me know when to begin.
Yeah. You can start.
Okay. In this world operating on wise, you brought a new by bringing, wine strategy. That was a great. Okay, I will give you commendations and going by commendations first. I loved the way you built up when you said that, I like math, I don't like chemistry, I don't like physics, and the whole audience you is thinking, what will he get now? And our brother searches it, and you give that smile, and oh, finally something. So we also, moving along with you and getting that. That was great. How you. Second, you gave reference to your back, you brought a special angle to it, and that's refreshing. And suddenly looked at the wall and all those post-it, stuck on it, and it was great. That was great. And third, and most important, the whole speech was like a nice story that you built it up, a chronological, and just great story. You brought it like the people are looking, okay, what is happening next? Yourself in a course, and then you don't like it. And then you choose a course which you don't have the right criteria to fill. And so it was like, even with the audience, thinking, oh God, now he likes this, but how will he get that? So that was interesting, and you built it up very nicely. Moving on to recommendations, I would say that when you expressed about your father's death, I wish you had, brought more expressions to it. The way you actually felt the pain at that time. I wish you had expressed that in your tone by lowering the tone and bringing those expressions on your face. It would have made it much better, connected with the audience much better. Second thing is, most of your speech was like this, and that's a closed body language, and that prevents connection with the audience. I wish you had opened your arms a bit more, and that would have, welcomed the audience a little more. And the third thing is your voice projection. I missed some of the phrases, some of the instances that you were saying, and I so wished, what did he say at that time? So that voice projection, if it is much better, then we are able to get the story much better. Overall, it was a very gripping story based on, your experiences, your chronological life, and it really amused the audience. So a great one. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirmit. Timer, can we have third evaluator for today?
They are already back in the room.
Okay. Yes. Aditya, you can share your evaluation report now.
Okay. Okay. Shall I start? Yeah. Am I audible clearly? Okay. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and our esteemed speaker Varun, I want to begin by commending Varun for sharing his captivating journey with us today in a speech which I have titled My Culinary Journey. It was truly inspiring to hear about the challenges he faced and how he pursued his passion despite family pressure. Varun, your speech was not only motivational but also engaging, and I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to evaluate it. Firstly, I want to highlight the impeccable stage presence and the physical gestures displayed by Varun throughout his speech. He used the stage very effectively, and his movements were not only purposeful but also added depth to his storytelling. One notable moment was when Varun turned to speak to his brother, illustrating his role as an elder and the respect he holds in the family. The simple act of looking over his shoulder conveyed a powerful message about his family dynamics. It was subtle yet effective way of enhancing his narrative. The way he explained his shaving or non-shaving style by citing a relatable example from my life was a clever touch. It drew the audience in and made his point even more relatable. In terms of the environment of the speech, Varun's visual aids, specifically the sticky notes which we had on the right, was brilliant choice. It not only provided structure to his speech, but also allowed the audience to follow his journey visually. It was an excellent way to keep the audience engaged, informed throughout the speech. I would like to applaud Varun for his closing remarks, which left a lasting impression. The quote, "When life gives lemons, make lemonade," is a timeless and motivational quote. Varun took it a step further by suggesting we use those lemons in tequila, which added a touch of humor and lightheartedness to the entire message. It was an excellent way to wrap up his speech, leaving a smile and a valuable lesson. However, there is always room for improvement. And Varun, I recommend you working on vocal variety to further enhance your speeches. While your content was compelling, varying your tone, pitch, pacing can add depth to your delivery. It can make certain points stand out more and keep the audience engaged from start to the finish. Try to experiment with inflection and pauses to create more impact and resonance. In conclusion, Varun's speech was captivating and motivating account of his path of becoming a chef while navigating family pressure. His stage presence, gestures, and use of visual aids were commendable. Keep up the excellent work, Varun, and continue inspiring us with your culinary journey. Thank you for sharing your story. Over to you.
Timer, please let me know when we can move on. now I would request the timer for today's meeting, Toastmaster Mario, to present his report.
Today's time, we had an evaluator, an education system by Darshan Satpathy. He spoke, he had an allotted time between 20 and 30 minutes. He spoke for 33 minutes and 2 seconds. The Q&A session was between 8 and 10. It lasted well over time, 9 minutes and 4 seconds, but people had a lot of questions, and I'm sure all the burning questions were answered and all the inquiries. The test speaker, Varun Kumar, had between 4.5 and 7.5. He spoke for 7:38, so 8 seconds over time, but he's not disqualified because he's a test speaker. And then we had 3 evaluators, all were within time. Congratulations. Kyra, our first evaluator, 2:36, Nirmit 3:08, and Aditya 3:20. That is all my report, and I give the word back to our MC Nupur.
Thank you so much. Now I would request our general evaluator for today's meeting, our distinguished Toastmaster Darshan, to share his final report.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. I'll quickly come on to the general evaluation report. I'll not evaluate the session in general. Rather, I'll just focus on the 3 speakers that we had for today. First of all, I would like to start with Kahira. Now, let me tell you, Kahira, the points that you picked up in your evaluation, it was on the point. You ensured that you pick up the right points and you were able to justify those parameters with suitable examples. And I was quite happy in seeing the structure that you maintained throughout the speech, because you were focused on the words that you were using very carefully. But there are a few things that I would like you to work upon. First, I believe as you had the right content, you had the right structure, you should be more confident while delivering your evaluations. I felt during instances in your speech, there were times when you were running short on content. If it so happens, it's always better if you take a pause rather than using repetitive words. It's always better if you take a pause, because if you do that, maybe the content will connect with you, and after that you try to deliver that content, because I felt you were running short on content during multiple instances on your speech. That is one thing that you might need to work upon. The second thing that you need to work upon is, whenever you are starting your evaluation, give a proper introduction. You started by saying so from the get-go. Never use a word like so at the beginning. That is not how you try to create an impression. That is not how you try to give an introduction. Have a proper introduction, maybe a fact, maybe a greeting. It can be anything, but never start with a so. You throughout the speech, you focused on the central theme that the speaker had to convey, which was why not, which was good. As I said, you pointed out parameters which were very, very specific with instances. But again, as I said in my session, it would have been better if your speech would have been more balanced. You had 3 commendations and 2 recommendations, but both the recommendations were on voice, maybe voice modulation and voice projection, but it was related to the same parameter. It would have been great if you would have picked up some more parameters. There were many other parameters that could have been picked up when it comes to recommendation. So I would suggest you to first ensure that your parameters are balanced in commendation and recommendation. And second of all, always try to pick up different parameters other than voice. So this is what I have for you at this moment. And also, just to conclude, your conclusion, you try to specify what were the commendation, what was the recommendation. It is always better if you just limit it, not just tell that I would like to conclude by saying this so and so things. Just tell that, to summarize, these are the points you need to work on. These are the points that you were excelled in. Done. It should be 1 to 2 sentences, as I said, maximum 3 sentences. But your conclusion, it was 4 to 5 sentences. So you may work upon that. Next, I would quickly come on to the second evaluator, which was Toastmaster Nirmit. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Now, you had a great introduction when you started with by saying, in this world, there are multiple questions which are being asked, why not? And that was the central theme of the speaker. You connected well with your introduction right from the very beginning. But you used a sentence in which you said, going by the commendations first. Don't use it. Never say going by commendations first, or I will now quickly come on to the recommendations. Rather than using the words commendation, recommendation, it's always better if you say something else. Try to come up with a different sentence rather than saying going by the recommendation first. Because obviously people would be aware that you are following a structure in which you have the commendations first, then you are coming to the recommendations. So it's not recommended to use the sentence going by commendations first. You can directly say, I would like to commend the speaker in so and so aspect directly. Okay. After that, throughout your speech, I felt there were a lot of repetitive words like, again, you were running short on content multiple times. You were trying to join multiple sentences using conjunctions. That's why you were using this word multiple times. I understand that in evaluation, the speech may be fluent, may not be fluent. It's completely fine. But as a speaker, personally, it's always better if we try to cut short these repetitive words that were there in our evaluation. After that, let me quickly come on to your commendations and recommendations. Your commendation and recommendation was specific. It was to the point. You picked up the right points and you ensured that it was a balanced evaluation when it comes to commendation and recommendation, but you did not end with a proper summary. You did not end with a proper conclusion. Ensure that you end with a proper conclusion, because as I said, 15% of your total marks is on the summary. So you need to ensure that you end with a proper summary, which was missing in your case. Next, I'll quickly come on to the third speaker and the last.
So I said like overall the story was like, oh, this is not considered a summary.
No. So as I said, your conclusion will have specific points from the commendations, from the recommendations in 2 to 3 lines.
Okay.
That is what you need to ensure. That is what you missed out on. That was my point.
Got it.
Perfect. Next, let's quickly come on to Aditya. One thing I would really commend Aditya is his confidence and his smiling. He was smiling. He had a happy face throughout his speech, which is pretty good. We should not be serious as evaluators. We should always give out that warm gesture from us. And I would like to commend Aditya for that. He was confident throughout his speech and he was quite smiling throughout his speech as well, which was good. But he started his speech by giving a forefront or an introduction using his vocabulary skills. He tried using multiple picture skew words, which was good. It would engage the audience at the very beginning, which is pretty good. You talked about his passion, his persuasion, his journey overall in your commendation, which is good, because those were the points we need to focus on as far as the speech is concerned. Because indirectly, Varun spoke about his journey and you focused throughout his journey what were the points that were good, and you picked up those points and you tried to give specific examples for those points. When it comes to your recommendations, again, you tried to give recommendation on vocal variety, but again, you could have brought out more parameters. There were more recommendation parameters which could have been picked up. And again, you need to ensure that it is a balanced speech. It has to be a good mix of commendation and recommendation, which was missing in your case. I would ask you to work on that, because multiple parameters can be there which can be picked up from Varun's speech. And I would again ask you to focus more on the analysis of the speech, or the test speaker in this particular case. Focus more on the analysis. There can be multiple parameters which can be picked up. And at the end, you talked about the conclusion. You focused on the summary that Varun had, but you need to ensure that whenever we are speaking on the conclusion, again, it is concise. You are repeating the word again, like it, rather than keeping it concise, focusing on the commendation and recommendation and conclude, you stretched your conclusion a bit. So I would ask you to focus on a concise conclusion. I would ask you to work on multiple parameters or different parameters that can be picked up for recommendation. But definitely I would commend you for the specific points in commendation that you picked up, because it was good, it was inspiring. And also, as I said, I'd like to commend you for your vocabulary overall. So those were the 3 evaluators that we had today. Now, before I conclude my general evaluation, I would like to evaluate Varun. And this is what I thought. Maybe my perception is different about Varun. Your perception, as in the evaluator's perception, would be different about Varun. So quickly, I would like to evaluate Toastmaster Varun, and then maybe we can wind up. So here it goes. We will quickly start. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and my target speaker, Toastmaster Varun. It is often said You will never have more energy, enthusiasm, or brain cells than you have today. You utilize that opportunity and ensure that today is the right time to give a thought-provoking message for the audience that is present in front of us. Varun, I personally believe you are a star because you ensured that you portray your journey the right way. And when I say you are a star, I would like to commend you for being a star. STAR. S. Storytelling. I like the way you use storytelling because at the beginning, when you started your speech, you started from a particular year, which is 2014, and you said you were sitting in your house. That particular instance in your speech ensured that the audience were glued. You took back them in time and ensured that they were focused on the story that you were trying to speak. I would commend you for that. Next, T. T is tonality. Throughout your speech, you had multiple instances, but the specific instance that I picked up was the characterization between two of you, two brothers. You used voice modulation well, and you ensured that the characterization was completely clear in front of the audience. When your brother was asking you, do you like maths? Yes. Do you like physics? No. Do you like chemistry? No. Job well done. Next, I'll come to A, which is articulation. My impression overall was you tried to portray a journey which was struggling in between. You narrated about your course in 2014, which you started, and there were new things or 4 different words which summarized the course. And it was good because you tried to articulate it in a manner that the audience would relate to. You also talked about your interest, wherein you were interested more in cooking. And you also brought out humor by saying that my mother was lazy, that's why she was pushing me for cooking. Good job on your part. Next, I'll come to R. R, when I say it was right visual imagery. Throughout your speech, you had multiple instances of visual imagery, maybe through your words or maybe through the background that you used. And you said you took up challenge of studying this particular course and you ensured that you complete it, but you did it the right way. Good job done on your part. But as it is rightly said, every speech can be made better. You are a star already, but if you want to be a superstar, then these are the 4 points that you would like to focus on. STAR. S. Sharp gestures. Throughout your speech, you had closed body gestures. Specifically, when you spoke about, I wanted to continue my cooking journey, you could have expressed yourself better by stating that particular point because that is what you want to work upon. Next is T. T would stand for transitions with tones. So when I say transitions, there were multiple instances in your speech wherein you use the stage gesture, but you could have used the stage gesture better with the content in sync. Like, for example, there was something in me which wanted more. Using your voice and the transition that you had in place, you could have delivered the message better. A, apt pauses. There were questions like, if you study well, then what would happen? If you want to drop out, then what would happen? There should have been pauses in between whenever you're asking these questions. Next, R, right call to action. Throughout your speech, we had a call to action, why not? But the central theme of the message or the central theme of the story was somehow missing because I was more focused on that. There were multiple instances in which you could have brought out the central theme, but it was missing overall. Overall, I would say you did a great job in terms of storytelling, tonality, articulation, and to the point visual imagery. But if you could work upon your gestures, tonality, apt pauses, and right call to action, you would have done a better job. For me, as an evaluator today, my takeaway would definitely be your takeaway that you said, if life gives a lemon, what would you do? It depends upon us as individuals, what we can do out of that lemon. It is not always the lemonade that we need to work upon, but definitely we can do better things. With that in mind, I would like to commend Toastmaster Varun for delivering this speech today. And that was my overall evaluation. Now, my point is, here in this case, when I brought out points, I knowingly brought out 4 points so that my evaluation is lengthy. I knowingly did that because there were multiple parameters that we can focus upon. That was my central theme of this evaluation that I took. Because as I said, many of you, or 3 of you rather, were focused on specific points on voice particularly. No one focused on pauses. So that is also one parameter that can be thought about. No one focused on the content with the transitions. So my major focus there was there can be n number of parameters that can be picked up from any given speech. We just need to ensure that we are analyzing it properly. So that was the overall evaluation that I had, just to ensure that you pick up the right points. With that in mind, let me quickly hand over the stage to the MC or the host of the evening Toastmaster Nupur, over to you.
Thank you so much for this such an insightful evaluation session and feedback which all the evaluators got. Now I'm going to go back to my presiding officer's role. I hope you all enjoyed the meeting. I would like to have few of your feedbacks, what you liked and what you think can be improved in our meetings. You can use the chat box and leave the feedback for us, all the scope of improvements in our meeting. I know time is one of the major things for today's meeting, but that was intentional. It was in. Okay. Now I'll hand over the stage to our SAR, Aditya Dugar, to close the meeting. You are on mute.
You're unmuted, but can you say something so I can hear you? Say something, Aditya.
Hello, can you hear me
Yes,
now?
yes, yes, very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Nupur. Before I conclude the meeting, I must say what an amazing educational session by Varun. Thank you, by Darshan. Now I announce this meeting adjourned for now. Till we all meet again next week. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, Darshan, for taking this amazing session and agreeing at such a short time. And of course, a big thank you to Varun, who agreed to be the test speaker for today's meeting. Because we had someone else, but yes, last minute dropout, and he was very gracious enough to just pitch in. So thank you so much, Varun.
Thank you, everyone.
Nupur, is it okay if I share something?
Yes, definitely.
Are you still recording or recording is stopped?
I think we should just stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can
Yes, I